There is a day my grandfather was beaten until he ran away from home. This is what was happening. There was an old man the same age as my grandfather called Matthew. They grew together and even went to the same school in their days. But this man terrorized my grandfather by beating him in any dispute. We could not engage because they were old and it was their issue that had gone on for years. We used to ask my grandfather why it was always chaos between him and Matthew and why he kept coming back beaten, but he would dismiss us saying those were adult issues and we should stay away. So there was this day we passed through a neighbor's farm because he had gone abroad with his family, so we used to graze there. The farm had bushes, and as we were passing with my grandfather, we found an antelope caught in a trap because we used to put traps in the bushes. My grandfather said to me, "Let me show you something." He took his big knife from his waistline and slaughtered it. As we were about to finish, a man passed by. He and my grandfather knew each other, so my grandfather gave him a piece. The bad part is that the man passed by Matthew's home, which was the next farm. Matthew asked him to cut him a piece since they also knew each other, as is common in villages. The man said, "Don't worry, Kim has caught an antelope in his traps. He is the one who gave me this piece." The moment Matthew heard that, he screamed, "Kim!" It was like my grandfather knew the man might explain where the meat came from, so we had already left the scene and were almost home. My grandfather hid the meat, and in a few minutes Matthew was in the compound chasing him. They first fought, but later Matthew overpowered my grandfather because he was a huge man. Matthew was shouting, "Those are my traps, give back the meat," and my grandfather answered, "You beat me, it's even." Later Matthew left with a warning never to go to that area again. My grandfather told us he couldn't be beaten and still give the meat back. It didn't make sense. Now this is the day my grandfather ran away from home. He had a bull in his herd, and as usual the livestock went to graze. Matthew's 2 cows needed a bull, so they drove their herd to mix with ours. In the evening the herd came back as usual, and my grandfather saw more cows and asked whose herd had mixed with ours. I said Matthew's 2 cows needed a bull. My grandfather saw an opportunity for revenge. He said, "Pick his milker cows first, put them in the milking area, and milk them first. Don't wait for warm water, do it directly from the tap." We milked them, there were 5 of them. As Matthew was going around looking for them, it took him an hour before he found them in our compound. By then we had already separated our herd, so he took his cows. The moment of truth came when it took him another hour to realize his milker cows had already been milked. We heard him screaming, "Kim, what have you done?" 3 times. He came like fire in the wind and beat my grandfather for about 45 minutes until my grandmother intervened and shouted, "Matthew, you will kill him, stop, that's why I rejected you." That was when we understood where the deep conflict came from. Matthew left even more angry. My grandfather could barely lift himself from the ground. My grandmother helped him up, and later that night he dressed his injuries. Early the next morning he had left for his brother's place. When we visited him there he would ask, "Is Matthew still around?" And we would laugh and say yes. That's how my grandfather ran away from home.